Welcome everybody. Today we're going to learn how to program from the scratch the new options available for the PRODIGY series, represented by the OSC Open Sound Control Server, which can run directly straight into the PRODIGY devices. We learned already with the several Globcon tutorials that an OSC external client could have been used to trigger several Globcon control parameters. The biggest news is represented by the fact that now straight the device can operate as an OSC server, and you don't need any external software such as Globcon to use your external OSC client and control directly the direct out PRODIGY series. So if you go to the license and then you have already purchased the optional Amber Plus or OSC license, for example, which is the case of this device in front of me, I can activate the OSC. But before doing that, you have to configure both the parameters that you want to control and the several interfaces that the server running inside of the device should be listening to. Step by step, we will learn first the basic way, the most easy way to program that, and we will give some ideas of the advanced programming which is available. And the third option would be also to send an email to support@globcon.pro, and the Globcon team will be available to quote a custom programming in case you need a very complex and complicated scenario to be controlled from the OSC client. Step by step. First, if you get to the configuration button, you see that you have the advanced button, which means that now you decide to go for the basic stuff. There's nothing in the table because nothing has been programmed. So how can we program that first? We could use Globcon just with the purpose to ease as much as we can the programming of the several OSC commands. So starting from Globcon from the scratch, although I invite you again to get to the globcon.pro, get to the tutorials, select the latest one available, scroll all the way down, and you get to the latest one, trigger OSC Open Sound Control, and then you have a very comprehensive tutorial about programming OSC triggers inside of Globcon. Today, we're gonna just quickly remind you which are the steps, the minimum amount of steps, which are required to first learn the several OSC commands that you want to use on your external client, OSC client, learn those parameters and pair those parameters with the internal parameters of the PRODIGY device that you want to control, and then by means of the new section available in the PRODIGY MP, represented by the settings, license and configuration, we can see how we can make that programming persist. So they're going to be saved inside of the memory of the device, and then you don't need any longer any external software, and you can go straight from your OSC client to the device. So step by step, first we start setting a trigger manager, a trigger manager. So we have an OSC trigger manager already implemented in Globcon, which is listening to the, let's double click that or edit that, and we can see that is using that Ethernet port, which is the one also connected to the Wi-Fi, where my external OSC client running on an iPad, in this case we are using Touch OSC, is connected and using two different ports, 5000 to receive incoming OSC command, and the 8080 to send back feedback to the external OSC client. So if we want to see if our external device is correctly connected, we have to go to connection on our iPad and set the IP address of the interface running inside of the computer, which is running Globcon at the moment. So is 253, so 192.168.1.2.4.3. This is exactly matching the IP address that we are having on our Touch OSC. So if we go back to the main tab that we have programmed there, and if we click on Learn, moving some failure there, we can understand that we can receive commands correctly. So we can clear that up and close that down. So the communication is established and properly working. So now we can open the tabs where there are the parameters that we would like to control with the external OSC connector. Let's say we want to control the last eight flex channels available on the right here. So we shift, drag, and select a multiple amount of channels. We right click and we can assign level, trigger, and learn. We move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 faders inside of our external device, and then we can assign them all. We can double check that now moving the external OSC client is moving what is exactly happening inside of the device. But in this case, still Globcon is doing the connection between the external OSC client and the machine. But we know for sure which are the Globcon parameters which are listening to the OSC clients and which are the PRODIGY parameters that we want to control with them. That's the reason why we can now go to the settings, go to the configure button and say, you know, those pairing, those commands which are the connection of an OSC external command to an internal parameter of the PRODIGY should be persistent inside of the device. There are 8 OSC actions referring to the device, PRODIGY, MP, blah, blah, blah. These actions will be directly mapped inside the device. Do you wish to keep them also inside Globcon? At this point, we can get rid of what have been programmed in Globcon because we know that from now on, we don't need Globcon any longer and we want to communicate straight from the external device to the direct out external OSC clients to the direct out device. So we have both options. I want to remove them and then now they are registered the OSC addresses for those kind of settings. We can save that now and say, okay, the OSC configuration has been saved, but in order to have that running, we need to restart the device if the device was already running the OSC server. Since it was not the case and since we still have to set other things, we can restart later. Now we have to define which are the several clients which are allowed to communicate with the device. So first of all, we have to run the OSC service as it is now. So we restart it now. It is running inside of the device. Then we can go back to the interface and see which are the current IP addresses of external OSC client which are in real time live connected to the client, which is still Globcon. So if we want to add another client, we can do it manually. So let's say we know that the external device is running inside of an IP address represented by the IP address of my iPad, which you can see here is 192.168.1.205. So we will put that number into the list of authorized client which will be able to communicate straight with our PRODIGY MP in this case. The port is 8080. We can add that. And if we want to keep also the older one, which was already set into the internal memory, we could, or we can say, okay, we don't want to have this one, we want to remove that one, and we want to make that persistent. So now, the only external OSC client which will be authorized to communicate straight with our PRODIGY MP will be the one running that IP address. If we are ready to restart it now the OSC server here is running and is ready to receive the connections straight from the external client. So in order to make sure that what we are receiving is not at all controlled by Globcon, we go to the connections and the triggers, and we remove completely the trigger manager for the OSC. So now Globcon is not at all talking to any external OSC client any longer. But if we go now to the Prodigy MP, to the settings, and we gather the current IP address of the device, we go back to the client of the OSC and we specify directly the IP address of the Prodigy MP running the OSC server natively inside of the device. So 192.168.1.124 is the IP address of the control management port of the Prodigy MP running the OSC server. So we should be ready now. If we go back to the license tab, we see that the OSC is available and running. So if we go back to the DSP, and if we go back to our OSC client, we can see that now the reaction is granted by a direct connection between OSC client and the Prodigy MP device. Globcon is just having an update from the device that something has been changed. That could be done from the front panel, from another Globcon user, from a JSON command coming from another station or whatever, or from the OSC customer client connected. Whatever is a change of a parameter inside of the Prodigy is communicated in real time to all the connected client. It's also true the other way around. So if we move with the mouse the one of the parameter which has been mapped internally with the OSC server, the OSC server is informing in real time the connected OSC client that that parameter has been changed. That's very easy, so you can repeat the same operation with the Prodigy MC. That section is absolutely identical. You can map any levels and mute, or if you have microphone amplifier, pads, phantom power switch, and whatever. And remember, if you have paid the option, you will have a permanent license available, like in this case. But if you don't have the possibility to purchase immediately and you want to make a test of your OSC external client before taking the decision to buy the license, if you have a device which is not equipped with the paid options, you still have 30 minutes of demo. So you can activate the demo of the OSC, and then you have 30 minutes, and then you are requested to reboot the device in order to have the OSC demo back again. And since that point on, you are absolutely able to configure and the settings and the interfaces like I did with the full paid options. In case you need a much more sophisticated programming, you can get to the advanced mode. At that point, you can see that you have already a script or a setting file which is pre-programmed due to the previous programming, and here you can start toggling different devices and different parameters. And I understand that it might appear a little bit complicated, but don't worry, those are for advanced users, or in any case, since you can import a configuration made by someone else, in case installers or specifiers or system integrators would need some help, the Globcon team is available for custom programming. You can receive a file, import the file, and persist that into the internal memory of the devices that you have to use. I hope you find it interesting. Enjoy your Prodigy series with the OSC internal server.